Good morning, everybody. Apparently there is a train that we're waiting on, so we're missing a few commissioners right now. So we're gonna just take a quick, little break here before we start our meeting actually, to give them a chance to get here. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning. Glad everybody got by the train okay. Consider a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Lundin.
Yes. Move on to our consent agenda. Consider a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. We'll have our opportunity for public comment, and before I'm going to preface that with, when we get down to item 2 on the agenda with the public input policy, I am going to take public input on that. So that would not be something for this public comment, if that makes sense. Is there anybody here in the audience that would like to come up and speak to any items not on the agenda today? All right, if not, we'll move on to commissioner reports. Are there any commissioner reports?
Madam Chair, I had the opportunity yesterday to travel to Mitchell to visit with the FAA concerning our airport. I thought it was very worthwhile, and hopefully that in the upcoming weeks, we'll have some things on our agenda that will shed some light on some good things happening. So, thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other commissioners have reports?
No.
All right, if not, we're going to move on to regular business on our public hearing, item 1 on the agenda.
It's a public hearing to occur to consider the adoption of a resolution of intent to enter into a lease for a term exceeding 120 days and an amount exceeding $500. The subject area is known as Lease Site P1, a tract 4,680 square feet located at the Lincoln County Marvski Airport. The proposed leasee is Airplanes to Go LLC.
Thank you.
This is a one entity transferring over the lease to, or actually the lease to the property for the county to another entity. So the first document would be the original owner going ahead and giving up their current lease. The other lease is going to be for assuming the site P1 lease, which is has 3 5-year periods left. And so this is just a standard transfer of the lease from one entity to another.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for staff? All right, if not, anybody here to speak as a proponent of the adoption of the resolution? Anyone here to speak against it? All right, if not, I'd consider a motion.
So moved, Madam Chair, to approve the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you for that. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. All right, now we're gonna go, it's with, Mr. Golden and I drafted a new public input policy, and I know that it needs to be tweaked. I've got some good comments from Betty Otten, and, first thing I'm gonna do is just, ask if there's anybody in the audience that wants to come up and, give us their input on what we have as drafted. And then I'm gonna ask for a motion to table this so we can work through a few things on it after we hear from the public. You wanna come on up, Chad?
Good morning, Commission. Chad Skiles, 820 North Dakota and Ken. I was pleased to see this on the agenda, especially after last week's meeting when I went home and I proceeded to watch the Minnehaha County Commission meeting and saw them doing pretty much the same thing. And I thought, well, there's some good things in there. I'm appreciative of the biggest thing for me as far as appreciative of is opening up all agenda items to the public. I've always said and always been a huge believer in the fact that it's crucial for the public to be able to interact with our elected officials on any and all topics. So I really, really appreciate that you're opening that up so that the citizens, the public can give their input. A couple of concerning things that I'm going to just ask you to look at. One is the time limit. I noticed that it was going to be 3 minutes, I believe, for both agenda items and then just the general public input. I am asking that you bump that back to 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes is a reasonable amount of time to allow the public and the citizens to be heard. And
Chad, are you talking on the regular agenda items or the general public
I
comment?
believe I saw it that it was 3 minutes on both, or was being proposed to be changed to 3 on both of them, if I remember correctly.
Right, so, but you're just asking on the agenda item ones to
I'm-
make it 5?
I'm actually asking for both.
Okay.
But I would prefer to see it on the regular agenda items at 5, general public at 3 if we're going to compromise.
Sure.
Just because the regular agenda items are dealing with a specific item, which maybe citizens or the public do have some very strong viewpoints either in support or opposition of it. Okay.
All right, got
And
it.
then my last comment is just, I would appreciate if you kept the general public input at the beginning of the meeting instead of the end of the meeting. And I know that's been a huge controversial thing. I've seen the Sioux Falls City Council go through that. Now last week I saw the Minnehaha County Commission going through that thing, and now we're potentially looking at that. I just think it's important to keep it at the beginning, because not everyone has the luxury of a flexible work schedule or things like that to be able to be at every single commission meeting. And if they do come to talk on one specific topic, or they have one thing, they don't necessarily have the time, if it ends up being a really long meeting with executive sessions, to stay here for 2 or 3 hours so that they can get up and give 3 or 5 minutes of input. And so I would appreciate that you would look at that as well. And I had one more thing, and it's escaping me now, of course, but if I think of it, I will let you know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chad. Anybody else want to come up and give their input on this item? All right. Well, I know I want to work through the email that I got from Betty, and I haven't had a chance to do that yet. as well as the comments made by Chad. So if it's all right with everybody, what I'd like to do is table this so that I can work through it some more with council before we consider it. Thoughts, comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got no objection to tabling. I'll just give you my input here in public. A few years ago, the state of Texas went through this issue, and Texas legislature passed a law that said all subordinate units to government are required to allow public input on each agenda item as they occur. And there was a lot of uproar, there was a lot of opposition from the county commissions and the city councils about, oh, this is gonna extend the meeting times by 2 or 3 times, and none of that materialized. Instead, what it resulted in is kind of a formalized process where as each agenda item comes up, you know, let's say, for example, approve renewal quote with Jensen Insurance. Well, in Texas, the law is that at these public meetings, the public can come up and make a comment on each agenda item. And, you know, at first, there was a lot of concern, oh, that's crazy, that's gonna take forever. It ends up, most of the time, public never came in and made the comments anyway. But what it did is it created a formalized process where people could just give their input on each agenda item. And then what it did is they compressed the general public opportunity comment period at the beginning of each meeting. So let's say somebody at the beginning of each meeting wants to come in and say, hey, we're from the 4-H club and we're doing an event this weekend. Great. It's kind of like that public opportunity comment at the beginning of each meeting is kind of like your public bulletin board, right? Those are generalized comments where people can come in and say, hey, county commission, here's what's going on. So what I would like to see is we shorten the amount of time for public comment periods at the beginning, but only if there was an agreement to allow public comment on each individual agenda item. And it's not as if Old Aaron's is making this up. The entire state of Texas, you know, the legislature, the governor, they approved this thing, one of the biggest states in the country. And apparently there's been no issues down there. So what I would suggest is we compress the amount of time for public input at the beginning, but then we allow public input on each agenda item as they come up. Now, the whole 5 minutes, I don't know about that. We could squeeze it down to 3 minutes probably. That's with regard to each agenda item input. Then that way, everybody says they got to say their piece. They got to talk about every issue. My guess is nobody will come in with 90% of these issues and say a darn thing. But it's always the hot button, hot topic issues that people want to be heard on. And, you know, sometimes those issues are on our agenda, other times they're not. And for the times that they're not, they can come in at the beginning of the meeting, say their piece, and be done with it. For the other issues, when they are on our agenda, everybody will get a little 3 minutes to speak on each agenda item, and, you know, and then you can kind of tailor it from there. So those are my thoughts, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Commissioner Aaron's, how long have they had this in place in Texas?
Oh, I think it's been 3 or 4 years now. I'd have to go back and look at the statute. I know that I talked about this process about 1.5 years ago here in front of the commission. We briefly discussed it. I pulled the statute up. So it's been in place for a while now.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if we were time sensitive, I think we would put a limit on the amount of time a commissioner could speak on a topic as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Poppins. All right. Anybody else? Commissioner Schmidt, you got any 2 cents on that?
Not at this time.
All right. Can I get a motion to table item 2, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. And then, can we put this on the next agenda? Thanks. All right, move on to item 3 on our agenda.
Madam Chair.
Were we going to vote on this
Oh,
motion?
yeah, we better vote.
Okay. Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. All right, now we'll move on to the next item. Who are we hearing from on that?
You heard the information from Jensen Agency last week regarding the renewal. The estimated renewal quote is $233,472. I just need approval to renew the quote, or renew the insurance.
All right, we've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So
Move
moved.
to approve, Madam Chair.
Okay, I've got a motion by Aaron's, a second by Commissioner Schmidt. Any discussion?
Chair, I will be abstaining. Thank you.
All right. Well, Sean, you want to go ahead and call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. All right, next item.
So, I don't know, a few months ago, we went through and we signed up for the opioid settlement agreement. We've gotten the agreement back. Lincoln County is going to get $6,507.37 to the county to help with opioid problems. They're asking us to sign the MOA regarding it. I've done some research. There are some facilities that would be able to benefit from that within Lincoln County, such as the Link, Tallgrass Recovery, Keystone. The sheriff's office might be able to use some of it. So I'm just asking for you to sign the memorandum of agreement, and it has been vetted through legal.
Thank you.
I would so move, Madam Chair.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. I'll move on to item 5 on our agenda. Sheriff, good morning.
Morning.
Looks like you need a replacement vehicle for one that got totaled.
Right, and the good news, if there is any on this, we had a 2019 Dodge Durango that was totaled on the 29th in a car crash, 29th of July. The insurance settlement was $34,676. Chevy out of Des Moines, Iowa called me. They have a vehicle, they've got a vehicle in that somebody ordered that didn't take it. It's a 2023 Chevy Tahoe for $41,382, which is the Iowa state bid. I'm just informing you about the insurance that went back into the general fund. Asking to purchase this vehicle, we can fit it in this year's budget, but to replace a 2019 with $122,000 on it for $7,000 seems like not a bad deal for the Lincoln County.
Right. Anybody have any questions for the sheriff?
And we're allowed off of the Iowa bid?
Yes.
Purchase? I would so move to authorize.
Thank you for
Second.
that. Is there a second? Was that you, Schmidt?
Yes.
All right, I got a second from Schmidt. Any further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And then was Terry coming in,
This
or what are we doing for that?
was
That's not
advertised
till
for
9:30.
9:30, correct?
Okay. Bill, do we have any exec sessions? Can we maybe have one on employment matters? Okay. I would like to have an executive session for, to go SDCL 125-2 sub 4. And also SDCL 125 sub 2, or 2 sub 1. Can I get a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion, but I'd also like to include sub 3. And I
Okay,
can raise that issue when we're in the room now.
okay, sounds good.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins. Yes. Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. roll?
Was that second by Aaron's?
Yes. We have Schmidt back on. Go ahead, Sean.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt. Carter, do we have Schmidt online? Commissioner Schmidt, can you hear us? Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, we've got our public hearing. Public meeting, I should say, for the 5-year plan. Terry, you want to come up?
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, so we're at this time, now, do you all have this up on your computers, or do you want a paper copy in front of you to look through? It
Do you
was part
have
of,
a
it was,
paper- Do you have a paper?
I do,
copy?
it was part of the agenda packet, so. So hopefully you've had an opportunity prior to this to look through this, to see the upcoming projects that are planned out for the next 5 years. Again, this is going to be road, specifically more so bridges, but as far as road projects that we're going to be having in our plan. Again, this is Lincoln County's 2023 to 2027 Highway and Bridge Improvement Plan. So what I'm going to do is, presentation I'm going to go through is, I'm going to work through by fiscal year. And again, it's going to be up here on the map. It's going to show projects. I'll go through each one of them. And then maybe at the end of each one, I'll open it up to see if you have any questions for that specific year. So starting with 2023. Again, first project we have is a full depth reclamation. This is on 152 from 117 to Hudson. This is 15 and a half miles. It's the number 2 project on the line down there you see. Again, we're doing some mill work. We're going to be doing a FDR, full depth reclamation, and we're going to do some base stabilization, and we're putting a 3 to 3.5 inch mat on top of this. The next project is a box culvert, and you see there's a little pink box on County Road 152 at the bottom down there. That is a structure we are replacing. That is going to be in coordination with, well, we're doing that structure, plus we're doing 42-110-253, which is a cost share with Pleasant Township. That is a structure that last year we had all the issues with the pipeline, the crossing, and we ended up closing that structure because there was some significant damage done to it. So the other project we have for next year is going to be the number 1. I'll go to asphalt treatment, reseal. So the light pink lines, that's our reseal or chip seal project for next year. That's going to be County Road 135 from 269th down to Canton. And then we're going to be doing County Road 140 from I-29 to Lincoln County 143 down by Fairview. Also, we're going to be doing the shop parking lot. That has not had a seal on it since we laid that mat down back in 17. The structures we have, so number 1 on this list, it's 42-020-201. That's supposed to be a preservation project. So we were awarded this project back in 2020, I believe. And we went to bid with that earlier this summer. And the prices on that were way out of sort. And I think we if you recall here, maybe a month or two, we rejected those bids. But we're going to be reapplying for a preservation January 1 of this coming year. So hopefully that project will be awarded the difference in that cost, and we'll be able to afford to do that project next year, hopefully. Again, going down to the next one, it's 42-110-253. That's number 2. And then the last one we are doing next year, it's 42-148-050. That is east of Harrisburg. That is the Lake Alvin Bridge. And again, we awarded that project about a month and a half ago as well. So any questions on 23's projects? None? All right. 2024. All right, so in 2024, first project I'm gonna have on there, we're gonna do some surfacing, mill and overlay. This is from, on County Road 110, from 111 to 115, it's about 5 miles. 111, County Road 111 to 268th. Let me see here, where's that at? 268th to 271st, so this is the stretch north of T. And then the other section is 117 from 110 to 106, that 2-mile stretch in front of the new school there. Okay, these are prospective projects for 2024. Microsurfacing, we're looking to do 102, which from South Dakota 11 over to 135. County Road 106 from I-29 over to 135. And Cliff Avenue, County Road 123 from 270th to 272 estimation. So in 24, we should be having some federal bridge replacements should be happening. Number one on there, this is west of T, west of Old Highway 17 there, 42007040. That's a bridge replacement. The next one is a number 2. If you go about straight south there, near the bottom of the page there, it's 42011210 and 4201210. If you recall that it's been several years since we've heard anything on this. This is the one we called the Junkie Bridge. It was a double set of bridges. We were awarded a federal bridge grant on this back in 2020. The next structure we have on the federal bridge replacement is 42050. 287, and this is on County Road 111. It's about a half mile north of Highway 46. Again, those are federal bridge replacements. So the county ones that we're going to be doing next year, these are in 24. These are prospective projects. Again, 42-160-227 and 42-170-234. Now, as you see on there, we're hoping to do some cost shares with some townships on these structures. As we've been doing in the past with the last couple of years, we've been able to accomplish that. So that's gonna have to be some conversations we are gonna have with townships to hopefully they would see the benefit of replacing structures. So, any questions on 2024? Yes, sir.
What percentage is the cost share when you address the townships? It varies?
Yes. So what we've been doing is a 20%, and then up to X amount of dollars. So I think the one we did with Dayton Township was up to 100,000, and the one with Pleasant Township for next year's structure is up to 50,000.
And then number 4, that's on 281st Street. Is that what I'm seeing? No. Or,
That's on 480th.
Yeah.
oh, that's on 480th.
Yep.
North and south.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah. Or by Albertsons.
Yep.
Okay.
any questions on 2024? Yes?
Go ahead.
The recent negotiations with the municipality of T affect from 106 north at all?
Yes, it will. So again, I just put this on the list because we had it in the plan before for this year. So yeah, it could have an effect on those negotiations, so. Any other questions? All right, moving on to 2025. 2025, so, first item on there is, we're looking at doing on Lincoln County 105 and, that should be Lincoln County 116, now 106 at 276th and 466th Avenue there. So this is the Lennox corner at the Klondike Road, as we all call it. we're planning to do a turn lane project there. At the very least, we do put in, right turn lanes, for northbound traffic. But again, I think I have it in it might be next year's plan to do a study on this. We're doing an intersection study on this, to determine, turn lanes on that. So 2025, we're hoping to build it. I know, cost estimates, I think, are around 800,000. So, you have a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Can we investigate the possibility of a roundabout there? I said investigate. I didn't say we'd do it.
We can, the only thing, yeah, we can look into it. I mean, it would definitely slow down traffic on that corridor, at least for a ways.
Slow down to the south, keep traffic moving. It has been a very successful on Louise Avenue, and if we're spending that kind of money, maybe it needs to have a serious look, so.
We can look at that once we get the study back.
Very good.
And so, the next project I have on there is, microsurfacing on County Road 105, and this is going from the north, county line up at the Minnehaha County line, 268th Street, down to Lennox. We're doing 106 from T to 464th, the west side of T, and then 116 from 105 to 464, 2 miles there. As you see that, that's in the green, a light green on the top corner. Bridge replacements we have in 25. It's gonna be 42, 120, 283. This one is about 3/4 of a mile north of Highway 46 on County Road 125. Again, we're hoping to get we're doing preliminary engineering next year on this structure. So again, probably in 23, 4, we'll be applying for a build grant on this structure. Number 2 is 42, 244, 255. Again, next year, we're gonna be applying for a preservation grant on that. That is the bridge, east of Hudson that crosses the Big Sioux River. The last couple inspection cycles, we've had some pretty significant changes in that structure, and we got some, we need to figure out what's going on with that. We got some concrete breaking away underneath, so, again, applying for a preservation grant next year. So, any questions on 2025?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Terry, I see you've got 100,000 put in the budget for review of the master transportation plan in 2025.
Yep.
So the planning and zoning is going to redo its comprehensive plan. We put money in the budget this year for next year.
Okay.
23, where they're gonna start doing updating the comprehensive plan. Obviously, I would think you guys would wanna be involved in that process, right? In terms of planning road intersections and things like that.
So I would hope that maybe I can be part of that, the comprehensive, I know that's more on the planning side. But yeah, it has to do with, roads as well. I know I'd have to talk with Toby about that.
Well, yeah, so I'm wondering if we could all get together and talk about that and try to find out if we're gonna do the comprehensive plan. Maybe it makes sense to also start talking about doing reviewing or renewing the transportation plan either at the same time or shortly thereafter to see how those two connect with each other. So we can have more of a comprehensive plan and it's not, disjointed.
So I'll say this, for 2023, that, the amount of money that it could take for the transportation plan would not work into my budget because, most of my funding is gonna be towards that, 152 project, the big project we have next year.
Sure.
It's possible I could move it up to 24, and see what funding is like. We could probably do it in 24 if we, so that'd just be a year after his comprehensive plan.
Yeah, and my guess is it'll take it could take a year plus to do the comprehensive plan process.
Yep.
So if we
Yeah.
can merge those two.
So maybe we'd be right on the coattails of doing,
Yep.
beginning that one in '24 possibly,
All
so.
right, thank you.
The bridge preservation by Hudson now, is that adjacent with the state of Iowa, or is that
Yeah,
nothing to do with them?
That's Sioux County, Iowa.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Any other questions on 2025? All right. 2026. All right, in 2026, we got surfacing, mill overlay. Again, some of these projects, you don't know if it's gonna be both mill and overlay or just an overlay. But we're gonna be doing County Road 117, and this is gonna be from 18 to 46. We're gonna be doing Lincoln County 124 between 115 and I-29. That's through Worthing. And then we're gonna be doing 124 from 44 to the county line on the west end. This will be in the south side of Lennox over there. 26 also, we're gonna be doing from I-29 to the county line, to the Turner County line going west. County Road 140. We're looking at doing full depth reclamation on that and base stabilization. That project is just gonna be FDR and stabilization. We're gonna leave it gravel for a year. And I believe in 27, I have the county with our forces, we're gonna pave it with our forces, so. Bridge projects for 26, 42, 128, 158. This is on County Road 125. This is at number 1 in the center of the screen. This is about 1.75 miles south of Highway 18. So we're calling this one Lake Alvin Junior because we're having deck issues on that one. The same thing where we paved over top of the deck, and the concrete decking is spalling severely. So this is one, again, we're going to be applying for a build grant. So hopefully in 26, we'll get the build grant to replace this structure. Local money is going to be on 42, 152, 170. That is on County Road 134, just east of Highway 11. Basically, and then 42, 166, 150, that is on a township road just north and east of that structure, the first structure. Basically on those, we need to replace deck units. We got some issues with deck units on both of those. Again, that's something we plan to do with county funds, so local funding, so. Any questions in 2026? Nope. All right. 2027. 2027, so first item is reseal, asphalt surface treatment. This is gonna be on the segment that we are replacing this year. This is gonna go from basically I-29 to Hudson is what we're gonna do. And then paving for 2027, we're looking at, again, 140 from I-29 going west. And again, I believe we're gonna focus on that using county forces to pave that ourselves, so. And then also in 27, the big one, is gonna be County Road 143. This is the ethanol plant road, going south of 152 down there by Hudson. This is gonna be a big project. We're looking at full reconstruction. Hoping to get some grant money. We're hoping to have some engineering done on this. We're in the process of doing some preliminary engineering, now and in next year. So hopefully by September of next year, we may try to apply for some of the federal funds that are out there, the grants, to get that, so. Bridge replacements, 42-200, 226, and 42-200, 249. Both of those are on County Road 139. That's a county gravel road. And again, we're gonna be applying for build grants on those. Again, if you recall, those are two structures that we were just awarded preliminary engineering grants this year. So those engineering will start on those probably next year, so. Any questions on 2027?
Did we You're working on the engineering for 143 now. Have we already started doing that, or is that, it's in
No,
the
we're just
budget
doing
next
preliminary,
year?
we're doing preliminary engineering. We're trying to get engineering done to the point where we can apply for, some of that federal money that's out there. And when it comes to it, I mean, it would probably be my recommendation to hire a grant writer to do that for us, to try to get some of those funding, some of those funds, so.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
All right, that's all I've got in the plan. So I will refer you to, let me see here. It's going to be page, in the plan, it's going to be page 11, I believe. 11, 12, 13. Those 3 pages. So that is the sufficiency rating report that we get after our inspections that are done. As you see at the top, it says it's 2020 bridge sufficiency rating table. Okay, this item comes from the DOT, and I am still waiting on the DOT for the new updated one. We had inspections done this year, but I have not received the new sufficiency rating report from them. So once I receive that, and I'm hoping I get it prior to the 14th next week, so then we'll insert that in the plan. Again, that does nothing to change the plan. All it is a supporting document stating what the rating is on each structure. So. Any other questions on the plan? So what I'm looking for is approval to have the chair execute that you're approving this plan so we can move forward and get it submitted to the DOT, so we will be eligible for bridge improvement grant funding.
Anybody have any final questions or comments?
I have several questions, but I would offer the motion because we do need to get this going,
Okay.
to approve, this 5-year plan to
Second.
submit it.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Further discussion.
Thanks, Terry, for this report. Can you start to give the board some idea in light of the new pricing that we're seeing for bridges? I know we turned down at least one, if not two, this year. So we can start to contemplate what we're gonna have to do with funding for, because these are things that need to get done. And we need to be prepared to have the funding in place to get this in place. So when can we maybe get a report from you, how much you would think your budget will need to grow?
Because of the adjust to
the
real-time
increased
costs.
Yeah. As I don't wanna,
I can give you all kinds of examples of what's been going on out there, projects that have been bid. We were just met with IMEG yesterday about another project, and they were telling us that Yankton County just bid a bridge over the James River. And I think they were cost estimate of $4 million, and it came in at 6.5. I mean, and again, that was a big grant that they're awarded on that. You know, so these costs are I don't know when it's gonna end. Hopefully, I don't know, year, two, you know? I mean, so we're probably seeing, like on our Alvin grant that we got, you know, that was about $100,000 over engineer's estimate, but I had budgeted, you know, a little extra, so we're good on that one, but, I mean, I think we're seeing a 20% increase easily. You know?
so we're gonna need to make those kind of adjustments or make the public aware that projects will get pushed
Yeah.
farther and farther back.
You'll do less and less on projects, so.
Second question I have, Madam Chair, is, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm really not seeing anything in this that pertains to the 85th Street project in particular, because there are some issues that we're going to need to address in the next 5 to 10 years up in that because of the 85th Street, in my belief, because traffic patterns will significantly change up there. And I would like us to start talking about that, as well as a disconnect on 110. When the state finally does do that interchange, there's 3 miles of disconnect over to Highway 17 that has high traffic volumes already. and I'm concerned that those numbers will just extremely skyrocket. That area is currently undeveloped, and if we're looking at if the board would think it's pertinent to have that connection, we should start to talk about that, so.
So I'll go back to the 85th Street interchange. I'm assuming you're talking. It's not in my plan because that's not funding that's going to come out of my budget. I guess, you know, I know we had talked about, we met with
Yeah,
the
and those are
DOT
township
about.
roads, but we, as a board, we should be talking about traffic patterns and the effect, in my belief, of what that interchange which the board is supporting.
Sure. So we are in the middle of a corridor study on County Road 106. And there has been discussion with City of Harrisburg and the City of Sioux Falls. And their concern is north-south corridors going to the city. You know, so we're looking Western Avenue, Southeastern. They said Sycamore is a ways out, but mainly those two, Tallgrass, you know, but Tallgrass is gonna be out of our realm, at least north of, you know, South Veterans Parkway. When that comes in, that's gonna be all city. So do we have things that are gonna be coming up for township roads? Yes, we are. And that's, again, that's a conversation that I think we as a board or a committee, we need to get together. We need to decide what we're gonna do with the high traffic counts on some of these township roads.
Yep,
Yeah.
cooperatively with townships or wherever, cities, whoever's the closest proximity, because it affects all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we can delete more of our roadways that we currently have and, you know, give them to the cities, the municipalities that are growing, you know, then we would be able to possibly take on additional miles of some of those township roads. But then the big thing is looking at how are we going to construct what needs to be there, a paved road? You know, how much are we gonna spend at doing that? You know, prior to that, if we develop those township roads into a paved road, that's just gonna explode the development on them. And that's just gonna quicken, when municipalities, grow up to them, so.
Yeah, the two that I speak of have a significant impact changing. One, the interchange doesn't even exist on 85th Street currently, so that's gonna be a significant change to that area. And the area may fill in with the municipalities, but I think we should have that conversation. And then with the potential of the interchange at Harrisburg exit 71, that'll make a significant impact, I think, to traffic patterns in that area too, so.
Yeah, and like I said, that's an ongoing study as well, that, for that interchange for at 71, exit 71.
Terry, for about the last 3 months, I've been meeting with folks in Harrisburg. We've got a group of people. School district is involved, the city is involved. I've been going to the meetings, their Chamber of Commerce is. And we've been doing meetings to try to figure out what can be done to do corridor widening on Highway 110. And, you know, they've all thankfully come to the conclusion the county won't be able to support that. And so this group essentially is trying to do, I think, what the city of T did, 10, 12 years ago with regard to connecting the interstate. They're trying to do the same thing with regard to 110. And the reason I bring it up is because there's been some discussions recently. I think the meeting I was at 2 weeks ago, the city is willing to take over some more county highways. That's good for us financially, and then hopefully they would gain some flexibility with regard to you know, driveways and stuff like that, access permits. So there is some discussions going on out there about that, and I think they were going to try to start looping you into those meetings as well, just to let you know what's going on.
I've already had a conversation with a representative from the city of Harrisburg on that very topic. And I know the proposal that he came up with is similar to they would take over those 3 miles or 3.5 miles, whatever it is. Initially, they wanted the funding that was with the first 3.5 miles we did with them, and I was like, there's no money. Then his option is, we'll take over all of it, you know, but you have to maintain it for 20 years. You know, And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess that's a point we can start to discuss, but, like I said, that would be, you know,
Yeah,
that'd be
they-
up to you guys if that's what you would want to do.
Yeah, they threw a couple ideas out to me
So-
as well. At least the good part about it is they're willing to sit down and have a discussion about it.
Correct.
and
Yep.
Think creatively about how to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So I will say that, you know, this is a public meeting, so I would ask that you take anybody from the audience that would have any input, so we can put those comments in the plan. So if you got nothing else, I will let anybody from the public come up.
Sure, we do have a motion and a second on the table, but we will allow for public input, so if you want to come on up, please do so now. Don't everybody jump up at once. Can you just state your name and address, please?
Tim Burns, and it's 27063 Sycamore Avenue.
Thank you, Tim.
I'm Springdale Township Supervisor. And I have kind of a question on Southeastern. They're building a school right south of the roundabout on 85th. Is there a plan for that gravel road south that they're building on?
Come on up, Terry.
So to answer that, a county plan, no. City of Sioux Falls, yes, I believe so. Because I think the city of Sioux Falls is gonna service that. So I believe that they're gonna be taking care of that. How far south are they gonna go? I do not know. So,
But if the traffic is on that, it's township's problem. That's created by that.
for now,
Going south on that,
yeah, for now, probably. And again, you know, that's one of those corridors that probably need to be addressed at some point. But I think that, you know, the entities need to get together and try to find a solution, you know, for this, you know. I mean, maybe it's a cost share project between Sioux Falls County Township. So, to get something done.
we have 800 vehicles on that, and we put counts on that, and it's like double that.
Yeah, I think there was like 800 like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, now
Um,
we've done counts, and it's double that, so.
Yeah, so definitely within the realm of having a paved road, but, so.
Just so you-
Other questions, comments? Please, please come on up.
Eric Enabo, 47788 289th Street. I'm here, my interest in this is for the township, for funding for the RAIF 5-year plan. And I'm looking through some of the funding here, and it looks like for like 2024, Lincoln County gets around 479,000. And then if you divide that by all the townships, that doesn't leave a lot of money. It's like 30 grand if you divided it equally. And our township would like to make use of the opportunity of this funding to replace or at least fix some of these really old box culverts that's been there for years and they're really eroded. So I guess my question is, I've heard some townships say, well, there's really not a lot of money there, and they're not even gonna bother with applying for grants or whatever. So my question is if that funding, will more be available if only the certain ones decide they wanna make use of that? Then it would really be worth their while. We have 1 or 2 box culverts that could be repaired or whatever, but, the cost might be up there, pushing to 200,000 or so, so 30,000 wouldn't go very far, but if there was, a distribution of funding that would make it worthwhile, that would be great, so I guess my question is how linear is the funding for every township?
You want to come up, Chair? How does that get distributed?
All that money will be distributed via grants that have to be submitted to the county. So you're correct. The amount that we received this year was 479,000 and some, and so that is the funding from 22 this year, from the initial $6 million, or, 3 million the first year for inventory, 3 million the next year, and that got dispersed on a formula for how many structures your county had. The additional money on that is funding for 23, I believe, that the state has already put out. So they have this going out, I believe it's funded through 26, through 26. So my guess is, if the monies are getting spent, and again, this state will do audits every year, I'm sure, to see how much of those funds are left. And if the money's getting spent, I'm assuming that they would continue the program if there's state dollars available to do so. So, but again, so if I only have 2 townships that ever apply for grants this year and next year and the year after, then you guys are getting grants. I mean, if the others don't want the money, I mean, that's on them. So, I mean,
Makes sense.
but, all right?
Terry,
Thank
what did
you.
you say? You only had 2 what? 2 townships, that what?
No, I'm saying if I only had 2
Oh, okay.
townships that applied for grants, this year and next year and the year, I mean, those are the 2 townships that are gonna get the money if there's money there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yep,
so,
thank you.
Terry,
Thank
what's
you.
the cost split on that again? I know we talked about it before, but
it's gonna be an 80-20 split.
80-20.
Yep, so the township would apply for a grant, they would pay the 20%, and then this fund would take 80%. So,
so the maximum ceiling of their project is whatever 20% they're willing to put in, is that how that works?
yeah, so if it's a $100,000 project, they pay 20%. If it's a $400,000 project, they're paying 20%.
Yep, okay.
As long as, and again, that is something that I had Commissioner Gibbon and Commissioner Schmidt are on this committee, the review committee for these applications. And then we'll go through these and make a recommendation to the full board on who to award and the amounts to award. So, and again, just as an FYI for any townships, if they're listening, deadline for applications this year is October 31st, so we'll be sending out a reminder email for you as well, so don't forget. Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Thanks, Terry. Anybody else want to come up, have questions or input? All right, if not, I'm going to close discussion on it and ask Sean to call roll.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes,
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. I consider a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
No, I would ask you to go back into executive session.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting a directive. What subdivision there, Bill?
Subject 3.
All right, under SDCL 125-2 sub 3.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
second,
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Come out of executive session.
So move.
Thank you. Sean, we call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
do we have Commissioner Schmidt?
I
Okay.
don't believe so.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. And then I'll motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We're adjourned. Have a great week, everybody.